All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Summer Queen by Joan D. Vinge, or Joan D. Vinge. I don't know how to pronounce it. This book came out in 1991. It is the sequel to The Snow Queen. And there are a couple other books in the series that I don't have. I think it's called Tangled Up in Blue, and the other one is called World's End or something like that. But these are the two main books. I already did a review of The Snow Queen, which is book 1 in the series. If you want to watch that review, go ahead and type in my last name into your YouTube search bar, and then The Snow Queen into your YouTube search bar, and then, the review will magically appear upon your television. I just promise you it will. That's the way the internet works. But I've already reviewed The Snow Queen book 1. Great illustration by Michael Whelan on the cover. That is beautiful. And speaking of the covers, Michael Whelan did the illustration for The Summer Queen also, and together they just look absolutely dynamite. Two of my favorite book covers of all time, two of my favorite Michael Whelan paintings of all time. They are just absolutely gorgeous. And the book design overall is pretty dope. It's like they got the gold foil font and everything. So, this another interesting tidbit about this is The Snow Queen won the Hugo Award for the best science fiction novel back when it first came out in the 1980s, and this one, which came out in 1991, was nominated for a Hugo. And so very lauded books in the science fiction community. So a lot of stuff happened. This is high science fiction, space opera, action adventure. I don't know if you would really tell it from the covers that it's high Star Wars Dune-esque space opera action adventure with a real gritty feel to it, but it is. Both of them are. This book takes place, some years later after this book. It starts out with the Mers. Now, the Mers are the sea creatures that are very valuable for something about them gives immortality to people. They are hunted, and the Off-Worlders, the planet, there's this planet that things take place on. Off-Worlders come to hunt the Mers for their immortality given substances. And we open up right there with the Mers, as we did in the first book. Two characters, Claverly Bluestone and Danaquil Lu. They are kind of in charge of the village. They're watching over the village. They're the village elders, and they are kind of watching over the village and kind of watching over the Mers that are in the ocean there. And the Mers are making a comeback. I mean, they were almost depleted, almost extinct, because the Off-Worlders were killing them too often and just harvesting them. And but the Off-Worlders have disappeared. They have disappeared. One of the lines right in the beginning of the book, which struck me hard, oh my gosh, as I'm getting to be an older person. As Danaquil Lu and Claverly Bluestone, there's two older people are sitting kind of on the beaches looking out over their village in the Mers. One of them turns to the other and says, quote, "We are young for such a short time and old for such a long time." And isn't that true? I mean, I still feel young at heart, but and now I'm in my middle ages, I was only young up until about 30 years old, and then it's been downhill ever since. I felt those guys. Anyway, so Moon Dawn Treader used to be from the village that I'm talking about, as was Sparks Dawn Treader. Now, Moon Dawn Treader has moved to the big city of Carbuncle, which I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of represented back here in this. It's like a huge floating city on the ocean. And it's huge. It's a massive city. Now, she is there now, and she is known as she is the new Lady of Tiamat, pledged to forever end the Off-Worlders' exploitation and of the Mers and save the Mers from extinction, which is going well, as we can tell from the opening of the book. Things are going well in that regard. The Mers are being saved. Their blood is no longer being harvested for the immortality of the Offworlders. And Sparks Dawn Treader, also from the same village as she was in the first book, is her husband. Like I said, they're both from the same place as Claverly and Daniquillu. Then we go, there's a lot of characters in this. This is a 1,000-page book. Both of them are like 1,000-page books. These are epic, 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 epic science fiction novels. There's another character named Jarashu, who's a policewoman. She is a policewoman in the big city of Carbuncle. Her husband just happens to be vacationing, kind of sorts. He's on a vacation of sorts, out to see the fabled Mers. That's kind of, the Offworlders, they're gone. The Mers are replenishing, but the main character is not even on the planet. He's elsewhere, and that is Inspector Beezy Gondolinu. And he used to work with Jarashu, the policewoman. And Inspector Gondolinu, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, it's Gunduyanu? Beezy Gunduyanu. It's G-U-N, let me see what it is here. Inspector Beezy, Gundhalinu. Gundhalinu. That's what I was saying. He's off-world. He's off-world. That's why the second book in the series. This is book 1. Book 2 I haven't read. This is book 3. Book 4 I haven't read. I don't even have books 2 and 4. But from what I gleaned, what happened in book 2, which is called Off-World, or what was it called? It's called something. I think it's called Off-World. Anyway, we'll have to, I don't know what it's called. We'll come back to that later. I think I mentioned it earlier and I was correct the first time. But Inspector Gondolino, he shares, he's no longer on the planet where all the action's taking place. He's off-world. And he shares a secret with Moon Dawn Treader, stuff that happened in the first book. Well, he fell in love with the Moon Dawn Treader. But he's gone from Tiamat, the planet, and but there's a bunch of stuff out there that happened in books 2 that I don't really know about, which I probably should get book 2 and read it, so things would be clearer. But apparently, there's the science of starflight. Something's going on with that. Does he bring it back to Tiamat? Does he bring blood? I mean, if he comes back, is he going to be bringing the blood and the greed and the ruin of the Offworlders back to Tiamat? That's kind of. But he really wants to get back to Tiamat because he's in love with Moon Dawn Treader. Now there's another character that's pretty important to the plot, and that is Dredge Kalervo. And he is, well, it's Reed, actually. It's not Dredge. I don't know why I was thinking of Judge Dredge. Maybe the character, no, the character didn't remind me of Judge Dredge. Is there a Judge Dredge? This might possibly be the dumbest review I've ever done. The most ill-prepared. I mean, I just read this book. And I'm calling people by comic book names. Reed Kalervo. He is dark. He is evil. He's a genius with no morals. His very soul has been burned away from him. He's a monster programmed to destroy. And he gets involved in this plot as all of these characters for 1,000 pages of starflight, starships, Mers there's Mers on the ocean that the Offworlders want to get back to. There's a lot of things happening in this. I can't really give you much more than that. I mean, I could probably read the back. Okay. No, I said everything that's on the back. When passion overwhelms the destinies of multiple worlds, when betrayal devastates the tapestries of time. All these characters that I've mentioned will be linked in a mystery that spans an eternity, a threat to the entire cosmos. As enemies, they must unlock, working together as enemies, I don't know. They must unlock the unbearable final secret of the Summer Queen. I read this book once back in 1991 when it came out, because it was a sequel to that, and I really liked that. This is only the second time I've read it. It was a long read. It was a long read, I will tell you that, guys. A lot of action. I don't think it has as much action as book one. I don't think it's as strong as book one. I can't speak to book two. Book three, though, is full of a lot of fantastic science fiction ideas, of which I did a horse shit job of describing to you. And it's just two really good, solid books. I am giving this one a 9.5 out of 10. It was very good, very engaging, with a lot of plots and a lot of interesting science fiction ideas. And there we go for that one.